So this one's a really local issue, hyper local, if you will, to where I'm at right now in Long Island. So basically, the Smithtown PBA and the Smithtown Teachers Association. I incorrectly labeled the episode PTA. Excuse me. So the Teachers Association and the PBA are joining hand in hand to put candidates on the school board to essentially create a pro-police environment in the school is what they're aiming to do. Typically, the association and the PBA are at odds with each other, but they've recently endorsed in a united front Mike Sadins and Mike Catalanotto for Smithtown Central School District Board of Education. This was announced on Thursday, April 7th on Laura Spencer, who is the president of Smithtown Teachers Association, on a private social media account. I believe it's Twitter. Shortly after April 12th, the PBA endorsement webpage was updated and includes Sadins and Catalanotto, as among those in receipt of the coveted endorsement. So this represents, a real stark departure from what, the initial position between the STA and PBA used to be, which was, they were in opposition with each other. It's usually a mundane election, a school board election, but since 2021, especially with the masks and, the vaccine requirements, it's been a contentious race for school board elections, and I don't see it dying down anytime soon. Personally, I understand, democracy and all that, but if you gotta do some political wheel around to influence your school board and your town to get, more of a pro-police environment in the schools established, what does that say about you? You know what I mean? Like, if the community is voting in candidates that are in opposition to police presence in schools, maybe the police department should kind of look at itself and be like, okay, well, why do they have this opinion of us? Like, why is there such a negative opinion that this union has of us? How can we maybe make things better? How can we, maybe if we sit down and talk to them, we'll be able to hammer out our differences and we won't need to do this political, back and forth, because at the end of the day, we're the police department, not the political police. Now, for our streamers and people that are watching this on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc., you see there's an image adjacent to the Smithtown Messenger article that I'm referring to base my opinion on this. It's a man standing on a Blue Lives Matter flag. It's the flag of the United States flag that's blacked out with the thin blue line through it. This is what I mean by the political police. Blue Lives Matter as a movement already had its own symbol. It was the black flag with a thin blue stripe through it. That was the Blue Lives Matter flag. It's not desecrating the United States flag. It's not assuming that the police are the vanguard of the United States. It's not assuming that this is a police state, that the police are the most important beings known to man in this country. It's a political movement to represent grievances that police officers have in conjunction with the PBA. It is the political movement of their association, of their labor association. This is now developed into we are the country. This is our country, to the point where it's like we can disgrace the American flag. We can deface it and disgrace it. I don't really side with anyone that burns the flag. I don't really side with anyone that desecrates it or changes its design. I think that's really stupid and disrespectful. And that applies across the board, because how is that appealing to anyone in this country? And how is that, how's that strengthening it, if you will? So I think, that's why whenever I see, the police doing these political maneuvers, like with the Smithtown Teachers Association and with their school boards, I always call it out, and I'm making sure that, people understand that the police are becoming politicized. Well, they are politicized now. That's the thing. Now they're the political police. Now they have a built-in political view. And if you don't agree with that view, you may be in danger of reprisal. And that's terrifying. And it goes back to my original point of why is the police department influencing schools in the democratic process in selecting board administrators, when in fact, if they just did their community outreach like they're supposed to be doing, if they, and Smithtown's always been a right-wing town. It's always been a Republican town. So why did they need to do all this? Why do they need to go and influence the school board election and the teachers union to gain political power? It's like, it's Smithtown. Smithtown has always been, kind of, we don't view the cops as a threat, really. They're just the police. So if that community and the teachers association within that community has those negative feelings towards the police department, that speaks volumes to what that police department is doing in their day-to-day. You already have a right-wing Republican basis, which is usually, cops are the good guys. You already have, voters that, they have family that were in NYPD, NCPD, Suffolk PD, all living in Smithtown or in neighboring Massapequa. So why are they voting in people at the school boards that are against, that are, a little more wary about having police in their schools? I don't want to say against because that's a strong word, and I know I've been saying that the last 5 minutes, but wary is a good way to put it because, you live in a town that's, neutral to generally kind of supportive of police. So why are they electing people that are a little more wary and hesitant about police presence in schools and police in general? And why do you have to go through all that workaround to get the Teachers Association on your side to influence the school board elections to put, neutral to positive police politicians in our school district? That makes no sense. I say our, I'm not even in the school district, but it makes no real sense that you have to do all that back and forth when your population is already basically neutral to pro, supposedly. So why do you have to do all that? That speaks volumes if you can't even, if the PBA candidate can't even get on the side of the Teachers Association and the side of the people that supposedly support the police. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. So obviously the police there are doing a really bad job. So instead of politicking and making themselves the political police, they could instead be the police and just, take a serious look at their operations and say, okay, it clearly looks like we've made a serious mistake. One of, a Republican stronghold is kind of not really liking us anymore. What's going on here? So, that I don't think anyone should be involved with the kids. Period. Especially the police, but kids, this is our future, and the fact that they've been politicized instead of treated like a national treasure is disgusting. We still have high rates of drug addiction. We still have high rates of smoking. We still have high rates of drinking. We have high rates of, sex, really, premarital sex, STDs. The reading level is lowered. The educational level is lowered. Proficiency across all subjects is lowered. There's been cuts to programs that would have enhanced learning, like philosophy, civics, programs that, for college prep have been cut or have been always in danger of cut, and not a lot of students have access to it. There's no focus on the trades really at all. It's kind of like brushed off as what dumb kids do, which is really dangerous for our country's national security. There's food insecurity. Fortunately, the federal government has been working on that, which is dope. In talks with my own district, they've at least been not bailed out, but they've been able to get some funding to waive, the school lunch debts and to, lower the price of food, which is dope. If I'm recalling the email correctly, at least. But the federal government is, for a fact, stepping in and trying to make food more accessible. But overall, we need to invest more heavily in our children and look at them more as the future of the country, and measure them as a stopgap for, okay, how is the country going to be doing in 12 years? or 20 or 15 years, depending on how old your kid is. If it's not looking too hot by the time they're in high school, you have a general indication of how the labor force is going to be when they're adults and the general direction of our country. There needs to be more equal application of the trades, and there needs to be, an expansion of critical thinking fueled courses in these schools, so that way we can get our kids to solve the problems that are going to be much more complex by the time they're adults. That was kind of how we were taught when we were in high school, but when I was in high school, they just started getting rid of philosophy, critical thinking courses. They dumbed down the government courses and civic duty courses, the economics courses. We need to also teach practical skills. How do you build good credit? How do you, which we were taught in AP classes. We weren't taught that in regular classes. You know what I mean? No one's taught about financial literacy. No one's taught about, the benefits of unions. No one's taught about the variety of career options that don't require a college degree or require a college degree. It's just kind of like, yeah, you can go to college to be a teacher, or you can go to college to be an engineer, but that's about it. No one talks about the monetary investment and return on those degrees. No one talks about job fluctuation. No one's taught about, there were some business courses, fortunately, that people did take. That was still offered, at least in my school district. And that's where you got some of your financial literacy courses, but there was like one class with 30 slots. It wasn't built into the core curriculum, So if you wanted a financial education, you had to apply for the class, and it was a very popular class. But so the demand is there, but not everyone could get into the class. Not everyone got that education, unfortunately. So, it needs to be more built into the curriculum of schools on how to be financially, literate, aware, and responsible. I fortunately had parents that are financially literate, so they taught me about how to build credit, which was cool, but not everyone has that. Most people don't at the end of the day. So if you're going to be getting involved in the kids', future, and you're going to politic about it, politic for their growth, if anything. The right wing and the left wing fight focusing on this culture war crap, like, oh, you're against, the kids being and identifying as trans, or, oh, you're against the kids liking the police. What about, is anyone for or against the kids learning about how to open a checking account? How to balance a checkbook? How to buy groceries and sticker shop? How to, change a tire? How to build things? Is anyone involved in that? I don't care if your kid's trans or, he wears as much as I hate the Blue Lives Matter flag, I don't care if he has that tattooed on his forehead, but as long as they can critically think, rationalize, and build things and be self-sufficient to a degree, that's all I really care about at the end of the day. You want to dye your hair purple and remove your genitals to be another gender, that's fine, dude. But, like, if you're going to do all that, do you know how to, like, take care of yourself financially? Or, like, another thing, too, is a lot of kids don't know how to wash themselves. Like, can we have a basic hygiene course? Seriously, can we have a basic hygiene course? Can we have, a physical fitness class that actually mandates physical fitness instead of saying, okay, go walk the mile if you want, who cares? No, you got to run the mile. You got to do your pull-ups. You got to do your push-ups. You got to be able to bench. You got to be able to squat. You got to be able to, play the sport. None of this I can't tell you how many times I saw this when I was in high school, that like half the gym class would sit on the sidelines. And it's like, bro, how are you even passing? It's gym. There were so many kids I knew there was one kid I knew, he got left back for 4 years. 4 years because he didn't want to play gym. And he had to like do like a worksheet or something to graduate. That's like how bad they wanted him to get out. It's like, dude, go play gym. Like these are huge, like these are issues that like physically, mentally, and financially, like, our kids are fucked. And everyone's more worried about, oh, do they respect the police, or oh, do they respect their pronouns? Dude, like, those are luxury issues. Those are luxury issues. All of that will be solved when we actually take care of the kids' financial, mental, and physical well-being. That'll all come. And that comes in the course of financial literacy, comes in the course of physical fitness, and it comes in the course of reinstating classes that actually focus on critical thinking and getting them to fucking read above 5th grade. If they can even read at that level. Kids don't even read anymore, bro. Like, what? That's so stupid. Like that's what we need to focus on. That's the politicking I want to see. I want to see people put on the school board, not for their culture war side, but for their economic and practicality side. What are they going to do to benefit these kids? Seriously benefit these kids, instead of play to their parents' stupid little political football game that's not going to get this country anything but collapse and destruction. That is the end of this episode of Backpacking America, and that's episode 183. And that's what I want you guys to really think about, while you go about your day after listening to this. Once again, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Backpacking America, and until next time.